Land Rover sales pitch is 21,000 miles between oil changes. This one's done 3,600 miles since its first service, so we're going to see how the service indicator has gone down by how much, as well as the AdBlue. Let's see if it's anywhere near Land Rover sales pitch or what you can expect from a Land Rover Discovery Sport. First, a recap of what the mileage figures and the service indicator was straight after the service. Well, before we set off, let's just see what the service indicator says. Turn ignition on. Go vehicle information. Show next service 19,850 miles. Isn't it supposed to be 21,000? Oil service in 19,850. Well, I'm not going to do 19,850 over the next 2 years anyway. Anyway, that's the first service done. That's what to expect if you go to a dealer. I went to Guy Salmond. So I've done 18,431 now in total. That's 3,600 since I had it serviced. So how's it changed? The service indicator was 19,850. What's it gone down by? 4,000, 5,000? What about AdBlue? That was 13,173. Is that gone down by 4,000? To around 9,000. Well, let's find out. Let's turn the ignition on and see what it is. We might have to wait a few seconds before it boots up. It's booting. Okay, let's go to vehicle information. Next service, what's it gonna be? Well, if it's roughly a mile per driven, it should be around 15,000 and AdBlue should be around 9. Let's find out. Remember, only driven 3,600 miles since the last service. And it is 5,400. Bloody hell. It's gone down about 15,000. What, 14,500, something like that. Which is about 4 miles per mile driven. It's gone down by 4 miles per mile driven. What about AdBlue? That's gone down by 6,000. It's about 2 miles per mile driven. So there you go. That's reality versus Land Rover sales pitch. You're not going to get anywhere near 21,000 miles for service. Basically, the engines are not made to last. They can't cope with the 21,000 miles 2 year. It's gonna be, if you're lucky, you're gonna make it to 12,000 miles before you need a service. And AdBlue's roughly 1.7, I think it's coming out here. So around 1.5 to 1.7 for AdBlue, which isn't so bad. But the oil service, no chance, 2 years. You're not gonna make it to 2 years. You'll be looking to make it to 1 year. If you drive, say, 1,000 miles a month, you're not going to make it to 2 years. You're going to make it to 1 year. I think most people drive about 1,000 a month. I'm actually a light driver. So basically that's it. This is what you've got in terms of service. When you need the oil change, you've got 1 year or 12,000 miles, roughly. But if you hardly drive, obviously, it's going to be 2 years. You could make it at 2 years if you drive, say, 300, 400 miles a month. No, that's not going to be either. Yeah, I think if you drive 3,000 miles a year, you could make it to 2 years before the oil warning comes up. Obviously, when it's brand new, it's a little bit better, but the car ages fast, which is why I keep saying they're not built to last. They're not. these Land Rovers, they age fast. They're not built to last. Basically, they're built to last the period of the warranty. 3 to 4 years, then start going downhill. Right, this is over 3.5 years old. So it's out of warranty, and that's what it's getting in terms of performance. Like I said, I'm a light driver. I drive probably less than 3,000 miles a year. So it's a light driving, but I'm still going to have to service it. Obviously, for me, servicing is once every 2 years. For anyone else that drives, say, 1,000 miles a month, you're going to service it in 12 months. In fact, I've looked online before I did this video, and it looks like Land Rover's now changed its sales pitch from servicing 2 years and 21,000 miles to, was it 15 months, 18 months, I think it said. Yeah, I'm sure it said 15 months, 18 months, but it said every 15,000 miles. So Land Rover, just before doing this video, I checked just to make sure it's 21,000, and it is 21,000. That's what it says in my book. But they've changed it now to 15,000 miles, which is still an overestimate. You might get 15,000 when it's brand new, but it goes downhill fast. The engines, they just can't take it. Realistically, it's an annual, for most people, it's an annual service or earlier at 12,000 miles, even less. Online, a lot of people are getting their cars, having a service demanded at 8,000 miles. And that's the first 8,000 miles they've driven, well before 12 months. So that's illustrates Land Rover Discovery Sports, poor quality of build, something I keep going on about. They're just not built to last. That's the impression I got, and that's what's being borne out. Like I say, in my 2-year extensive review, they're basically little princesses, delicate. They look tough, hard, and they got the brand name for being tough, Land Rover, but they are little princesses. They're not up to it. Little princess, you have to look after it very carefully, because things can go wrong. This one had a EGR gasket fail at 18,000 miles, which a dealer wanted to charge £1,000 for. Obviously, I was just in warranty then, so I got that done. So there you go. AdBlue goes down 1.7 per mile driven. Service 4 miles per mile driven. So this service will be due in about 1,200 miles. So I've got about 1,200 miles of driving before it needs servicing, or I could ignore it until 2-year mark, till it gets official service. It won't make any difference since I don't drive heavy. But if you're a heavy driver and it pops up, then do get it serviced, because you don't have long. Yeah, you don't want to damage the engine. It's already fragile enough. You know, the engine's already fragile enough without you risking damaging it by not getting it serviced. So as soon as the service warning light comes out, well, you get a warning at 750 miles till service. That's when your dash has a warning message on it, as I covered in the earlier video. As soon as that warning comes up, you should look to get it serviced. So this will probably be in, you know, I'll get maybe 1250 miles out of it before the dash warning comes up, then I'll get it serviced. They're not built to last. Do check out my other videos. Even though I've scheduled about 90 videos, I think I've uploaded at least 45 or 50, covering all aspects of Land Rover Discovery Sport, with my last video being a comprehensive 2-year review of what's good and bad, and my overall rating, and whether you should buy one or not. It's all in that video where you can check out. But in terms of overall maintenance costs, you're going to have to budget a lot. These cars might seem relatively cheaply priced when you first buy them, i.e. at the either new or at the 1-year mark, But what they make up in cheap, well, cost effective at the beginning, they make up for in maintenance costs in subsequent years. Especially when they start going out of warranty, you're gonna have to schedule, you're gonna have to budget at least a couple of grand a year. For instance, service alone is not, my next service is gonna cost me at least £600, maybe £650 from a dealer. You might as well get the first services done by a dealer, because they do update the software as well. So first service was at a dealer, I think it was £450. Next service will also be at a dealer. Second service, that'll be about £600. Then you can have oil changes in between, which I think is about £150, £200 at a dealer. So you might want to get them done at not a dealer, because you know that's an expensive oil change. But I'll still get it serviced at a dealer, so it's done properly and the software is updated as well. So far, because I'm a light driver and I've looked after it, it's not too bad in terms of cost so far, but I'm dreading future years when it starts ramping up, when things start to go wrong, which they will do and which I will cover in this video. But in terms of when your oil service is due, aim for 12,000 miles in 1 year. I know they've revised it lower in the wake of real customer experience, because I bought this car, when I bought this car, the sales pitch was 21,000 miles in 2 years. That's what I thought, wow, only have to get a service every couple of years. That's fantastic. No, you don't. It's annual service actually, and 1 year, which is what they've now revised it down to. They've revised down the spec to 15,000 miles, and I think it said 18 months. I'm sure they're going to revise that lower again to annual service and 12,000 miles, because the engine, they're just not built for it. They won't make it to 21,000. You'll be lucky if they make it to 12,000 before the engine light pops up. Okay, so do subscribe for new videos about the Land Rover Discovery Sport from a real owner driver, no sales pitch here.